The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down. Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Buried, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now, your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Walker, and Kyle Yeomans.
It is a Tuesday edition of Talking Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome into the SWBC studios at the Star in Frisco. Patrick "No-C" Walker. We've got Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans as always. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing great.
Feeling swole, Kyle.
Feeling swole.
Yeah.
He's percolating.
I'm back on my vitamins, back on my consistent workout regimen. I'm not sitting as heavy as I was a couple weeks ago, Kyle, but I'm feeling good.
Okay.
Feeling good.
I've gotten 2 days in a row with
That's what I'm talking
workout.
about. K to the Y, baby.
Hey.
Honestly, that sounds like I'm joking about it, but in football season, that's actually a pretty good little
That's
run.
good.
He's
You know
training,
what?
He's training
Pretty
for
good
the
little
40.
run.
I want everybody out there in Twitterverse.
Training for the 40.
I want everybody in Twitterverse to send us a little memo, right? Tag us on there. Tag No-C, tag KY, tag Beamer, and tag myself. And tell us what position, if we were to go play for the Dallas Cowboys right now,
Oh, God.
what position would all of us be able to go play?
That'll be fun.
I want everybody in Twitterverse to go ahead and just tag us on there.
Yeah, let me know.
What would No-C play? What would
Broadcaster.
KY play? No, you got to be on the field.
I'm a broadcaster.
And I'm not talking about a sideline analyst.
Backup punter for me. I can see like No-C is like a slot corner.
You have an arm.
I do have an arm, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean I can
You
move
can't
around
rip
the pocket.
You can rip it.
Beamer,
Come on.
what-
You can-
Beamer,
you
what
can
do you
Joe
think,
Flacco
Beamer?
your way to
What I think what?
What do you think? Do you
At
think
least I can throw.
What position
That's
would
what I'm
No-C
saying.
play right now? If he had to go walk out there and be in a position on the field, what position for the Cowboys would No-C be?
Let's go with safety.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You know?
So
Like a box safety?
No,
like a
no,
deep
no.
safety?
Deep safety.
How many deeps?
like by the goalpost.
Yeah,
the
Titanic.
very
Like-
last resort.
Deep.
like nutritionist
Good.
deep.
Oh, no.
Good grief.
All right, what about KY, Beamer?
Maher, kicker for
Hey,
sure.
I don't have a leg though. I have a better arm than I would a leg. That's the only problem.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna be the quarterback, buddy.
That's what I said. I said
Can you deep
backup
snap?
punter. Ooh, I could probably deep snap.
Yeah, long-
Because that may be it.
don't have to block anymore,
Nowadays,
really.
they
No.
don't let the deep snapper get hit.
That may be it.
And back in the day, they used to get destroyed.
Destroyed. Now,
Sign me
now
up.
they won't
Let's
let
go.
anybody over
That's the
them.
money right there.
Sign me
Deep
up. I'm in.
snapper.
If Matt Overton's not cutting it anymore, guys, let me
I'm
know.
just going to let that comment
I mean,
go by me.
Overton's not like was he barely
I was
6
gonna- I
foot?
was going to get you so bad.
No, please don't. What about you? What do you a tight
I
end?
think his is easy. I mean, just
Tight end. Come on.
I'm not that
I
heavy.
wouldn't say tight
It
end.
doesn't matter if you're heavy or not.
Beamer's laughing. I'm not that heavy right now, Beamer.
All right, wide receiver. Okay.
No, I wouldn't say that either. I think
Okay.
I think put me at linebacker.
You just
you
want to
ready
go
to
hit
hit
somebody.
I want to play downhill,
He's
man.
played every other position.
played every
He's
other position.
never
I've been on
played
defense.
linebacker.
Yeah.
Yeah, put me at linebacker.
Kyle put me at nickel corner.
Just let me be relentless.
Timing of it works out. Jordan goes down. Duran, I'm coming for the spot. I'm coming for the spot.
All right, let's do some news and notes. Cowboys off today. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow. It's really the first news and note that we've had to go to without any Dak Prescott news up at the top because he's healthy, he's good, he's working into that second game. But what else is up at the top of that list after we talked to the coaches and the coordinators yesterday?
Well, we kind of touched on it really quickly just now. Jordan Lewis, Cowboys mostly came out of the game clean against the Detroit Lions. But unfortunately, they did lose Jordan Lewis to what's being described as a Lisfranc injury in his foot. He's done for the season. He's already had surgery. You won't see him back until 2023. That thrusts rookie fifth-round pick Deron Bland into the role. And it was interesting as far as what Mike McCarthy said regarding the potential rotation. I didn't think McCarthy would, because he always justifiably protects the game plan. But he did go as far as saying you will see Nashawn Wright on the field at some point. in Week 8 against the Chicago Bears. That will be the first time, if it happens, it'll be the first time this season Deshaun Wright is active on the game day roster. He is also expecting Kelvin Joseph to compete with Deshaun Wright for those reps. I think the Cowboys are going to try to use this game to figure out what the rotation should be, and then the bye week, because you're going to need that situation settled before you go up to Green Bay and face Aaron Rodgers. So that's the medicine for the moment as far as the absence of Jordan Lewis. Look for Deron Bland to take the lead there with Kelvin Joseph and Deshaun Wright battling it out. And Mike McCarthy didn't rule out what he calls different personnel groupings. So maybe at times that'll see Anthony Brown move into the slot. That's something that he's done before, and he was, solid in doing so. And if that happens on certain sets, then you might see Deron Bland off the field, which would then allow Kelvin Joseph and Deshaun Wright those outside reps. So we'll see how that goes. Another one to keep an eye on is...
Before we go into that, can we touch on that real quickly?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I mean, that's a bigger loss than I think Cowboys Nation is really leading
louder
on.
for the people in the back.
Jordan Lewis has played well. If anything, he's been the second best corner on the team behind Trayvon Diggs.
If you don't hear a cornerback's name, you're usually doing your job.
You're doing a good job. And Jordan Lewis, he's never going to be perfect. No corner in the league is going to be perfect. But Anthony Brown hasn't had his best season so far, at least to start. 7 games in, he's been up and he's been down. Jordan Lewis has been that steady hand in that secondary right now. And that's what's scaring me, or not scaring me, but it is a concern about not having him in the fold. And you have 3 young guys really, that are going to step up and kind of fill that simultaneously.
Let me reverse this thing. Number one, shout out to Kelvin Joseph and the effort he's been putting forth on special teams.
I like it.
It's a huge turnaround from last year. So super, super kudos to him. Give him his flowers because he's been working his tail off, especially out there at the gunner position. Okay, he's been forcing a lot of fair catches. Great effort. I'm looking forward to seeing DB play DB. Okay, I like him at that position. I think he had a heck of a camp, and then he doubled back on that.
I like that.
Yeah,
DB
like
playing
that?
DB.
Smooth.
So
You just kind of fit that in there.
Sprinkle that in there.
Sprinkled it in there.
Yeah,
He did a great job in camp. He did a great job in the preseason, and then when he showed up in the game, he showed up again in the regular season.
Got a pick.
Looking forward to seeing him. And then Nashawn, everybody knows that Nashawn is my guy. I like those, the long, lengthy E-Honda type players. So I'm looking forward to him having his opportunity. But backing it up to Jay Lou, you guys are absolutely correct. He's done an absolutely amazing job for this organization. He's been that guy that's just consistent. You're not looking for him to do anything amazing over the top, but he's been the guy that you can rely on to be dependable. Y'all in Twitterverse, send him some prayers up. Seriously. I don't know the degree of his Liz Frank. Liz Frank has different levels to it, but I can tell you that I sustained a Liz Frank injury coming out of college, and at that point in time, it was perceived to be one of the injuries that you could not come back from. That was the script on it. If you sustain what I had was a total Liz Frank. I completely blew out my foot. And for those that don't know what a Liz Frank injury is, okay, when it's a complete, I can't speak to the sprains, I can't speak to the mild levels, but in terms of what I sustained, I tore all the ligaments in my midfoot. Okay, everything that supports your foot, I tore all those ligaments. Those ligaments help support the bone structure. My bones separated in my foot, and they call it drop foot. It actually comes back from back in the day.
Jalen Smith.
Yes.
They know that term from Jalen Smith's.
There you go. Yep. So they call it drop foot, and you literally have no control of your foot. You can't bend your toes. You can't do anything. Again, that was what I sustained. I sustained a total one. We don't know the degree of what he had. Sure. Hopefully, it's a lot milder than what I sustained. But my outlook during my time period was 9 to 12 months.
Were you not drinking your tiger milk?
Yeah, there's no tiger milk for that one. So I sustained my injury in October of my senior season. I got drafted by the Cowboys, and I was still doing my rehab, and I touched the field in August.
Yeah.
So best case scenario, training camp for Jordan Lewis. Yeah. Best case.
Yeah.
And if he's there, great. If not, then there's going to be a spot for him moving forward.
And like Isaiah said, it's key to remember that there are levels to the Liz Frank injuries, and we don't know the specifics of what it was because it was announced after the game that it was a foot strain that the X-rays showed no fracture.
Oh, good.
Now, so that being said, it could be a strained Liz Frank. It could be a small tear in the Liz Frank. It just doesn't sound like it's worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But again, I preface that by saying we don't know the specifics, but we hope that it's not worst case. It sounded initially that it was not worst case, but it was certainly bad enough in that it needed surgery to repair. Yeah. So he's done for the season. Hopefully we see him ready for training camp. Going back to what both of you guys have said, Jordan Lewis and what I loved about what Dan Quinn said in referencing the injury, he talked about him as a player, but then he said there's also a dude behind that jersey.
Yep.
And he said, I hope the guy is good. I hope the guy is
And
all right.
And that's why I'm asking everybody out there to send him some messages, because I can tell you that out of all, I had 7 surgeries in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. The Liz Frank injury is by far the worst one that I had. And again, I don't know what level his is, but the places that I went to mentally, if you guys haven't seen the Deep Blue special that Rob P was a part of.
Mind Games.
The
If you
Mind
wanna
Games.
watch it,
Okay. If you guys haven't watched that, my portion in that, a lot of that was referring to my overcoming of the Liz Frank. You go to some bad places mentally.
Yeah.
Okay. You feel like you're not a part of the team. You're telling your foot what to do. Your foot's not responding because your nerves are no longer attached. You're having to relearn how to curl your toes up. They put a piece of foam on the ground. They tell you to grab it with your toe and you can't. So you go from being an elite athlete, one of the best in the world, to all of a sudden having to relearn how to make your body move. So please send him. I don't know if his is that bad. But regardless, nonetheless, he has surgery.
Right.
Send him some messages, because he's going to need the support of Cowboys Nation coming back from that injury. That's a lot to overcome.
Mental health matters, and Jordan Lewis is not only a leader in the locker room and a part of the leadership council for the Cowboys, but circling back to your point, his impact on the field is so often overlooked, and nowadays more so because there are so many more playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. But remember, not 2 years ago, the Cowboys were thirsty for a ball hawk. Guess who the ball hawk was? It was Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis was the one stepping up, getting multiple interceptions.
Yeah, as a rookie and a second-year guy. I mean, that was the only guy who was forcing
Jordan
turnovers.
Lewis. And so now he's a bit overshadowed by the fact that Micah Parsons is doing Micah Parsons things, and then you have Trayvon doing Trayvon things. But Jordan never stopped being Jordan. He was and continues to be that steady hand. So it is a huge loss for the Cowboys, and definitely bittersweet in how it happened. He got a game-changing interception that led to a touchdown that helped really break it open for the Cowboys, and then on the ensuing tackle, he's lost for the season. But keep him in your prayers. Yep. He's an upbeat guy, and like Mike McCarthy said, he's Detroit strong, Detroit proud. He's going to fight through it, and we can't wait to see him back on the field. But in his absence, these young guys, they're going to have to step up, and they're going to have to be as consistent as Jordan was.
If there were a bright side to any kind of injury at any point, it's the fact that it gives young guys opportunities. Yep. I don't want it to happen the way that it did with Jordan Lewis. Of course, nobody wants that. But if there is a bright side, Deron Bland, who has been great throughout training camp, has taken advantage of his opportunities, the small ones that he's had. Yep. Now he gets a big opportunity. Now he gets that big break. Can he take advantage, and how will they turn out with that? Additionally, and I just want to point it out, Dan Quinn yesterday, right after saying all of these things, he said, if you're going to go out and you're going to get injured,
that's what
you might as well do it on an interception. And that's what Jordan Lewis did.
Top of the world. Top of the world.
Wouldn't take it any other way. I'm sure he probably thinks it that way too. All right, more news and notes. Anything else?
Another key thing to keep in mind between today and tomorrow, again, on the defensive side of the ball, some good news. In that Damone Clark is expected to join the 53-man roster no later than tomorrow, which is going to be Wednesday. His practice clock started, which is the 21-day practice window, started on October 5th. That means October 26th, which is tomorrow, is the deadline for him to either be activated or reverted back to, he's on NFI, and he will then remain on NFI for the remainder of the season. However, he suffered no setbacks. He's been trending very well and very aggressively, not only in his recovery before practice, but in practices now up to this point. Stephen Jones sounds very optimistic about him. Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, they're very, very, very excited and turned up about this young man. Now, I say that. We also need to make sure we're tempering expectations. I'll say that in Isaiah's voice. Let's temper expectations. Initially, now this is outside of news and notes. This is the analyst speaking. I believe that from a standpoint of science, he may not be on the active roster this Sunday, which makes sense because you have a bye week coming up. You use this Sunday and the bye week to kind of prepare him for Green Bay.
So you're making him inactive.
Yeah,
he would be on the active roster,
Right.
but then inactive
Correct.
for the game.
I would have him inactive for this game, 2 weeks to ramp up for Green Bay, and then when he makes his debut in Green Bay,
he forces 4 fumbles and then takes one back for a touchdown, and he has a pick in that game too, right?
Or we can settle down on the Black Rifle Coffee
Sorry.
caffeine, and we can and we can understand that primarily up front he's going to be a special teams guy. He's going to have to earn his stripes on special teams. It's something that Dan Quinn said, something Mike McCarthy said, something that Bones Fossil said, and they expect to happen. But I do anticipate that before the year is out, you're going to see Damone Clark making an impact defensively, and that linebacker core, which already is deep. They got some great problems to figure out as far as the rotation. Well,
You're
how do
not
you work
excited
that,
about
Isaiah?
this,
I'm
are
so
you?
excited for
You're
this
not
guy.
excited about
I'm
this.
beyond excited.
He's
From
ear to ear.
the first time that we
Ear.
met this young man, at least that I met this young man at the rookie premiere.
Yeah.
Had plenty of opportunities since then to have some conversations with him, understand his mindset, understand his frustrations. Really just reached out to him, let him know, hey, I get having had an injury that affected your draft stock. Right, I get coming into an organization
as you just said,
right?
earlier.
Yeah, it affected your draft stock. I mean, they stole him in a draft because of the situation that he was in, which is a benefit to the Cowboys because I don't think they would have had a shot at him. So kudos to the Cowboys for doing their homework and due diligence and staying with him. You know, Cowboys gave me a chance. Unfortunately, I sustained more injuries, other injuries beyond that, but they're giving him a chance as well. So I was able to speak to him from the perspective of, this organization stands by you. They believe in you. They love the character that you have as a young man. They love the effort. They love everything that you've done on the field. Now it's just a matter of you getting back on the field, reminding yourself of who you are. Mm-hmm. Because when you're gone for so much time, you literally revert back to going back and watching your college film. Like, who am I? What was I?
Right.
You know, can I get that same thing back? Can I still play with that level of intensity? You know, and with that level of swag. Like, you need all that. So he's gonna be so anxious like Genuine. He is going to be. He's going to be so anxious. So I don't disagree that it's a great game plan for them to go ahead and go and throw him on the active and then let him chill, let him get a couple weeks of practice under his belt because timing. Intensity, contact, that anxiety, all that stuff's gonna have to simmer down a little bit. But I can't state how excited I am for him, knowing him as a young man, how far he's come and what he's had to endure mentally. The physical side is the physical side, but the mental side, when you're so passionate about something, you're so dominant in something, then you're told that you can't do that thing, and you have to sit back and watch everybody else. It destroys you.
Yeah.
So. Kudos to him. Kudos to this Cowboys organization, the training staff, everybody that's a part of it. I'm looking forward to seeing him have his opportunity.
And no better way to get over the jitter, the mental block of really starting to throw yourself at players again than to start on special teams. That'll help you knock those jitters out real quick.
Knock off that rust real fast.
Real fast.
And if you're worried about him learning the playbook and knowing where to be and when to be, those mental reps have been going since week one.
Absolutely.
I mean, since OTAs, since rookie mini camps, because that was one of the first things that we saw when he was out on the field, Damone Clark, when he came in and was out of LSU. He wasn't going to play. Everybody knew it. Everybody thought that was the case.
Locked in.
Hey, locked in. Had the jersey on, had the shorts on, was ready to go. If they would have said, hey, Damone, get in here for a snap, he would have been in there before they could even finish saying the word snap.
Can I tell the people what he told me last week?
Yeah, what did he tell
Go
you?
for it.
Ran into him last week, and we had a brief conversation. He said, I told Bones Fossil I want all the smoke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quote.
And you
the
know
type
what?
of player you want.
Yeah, that's exactly that echoes what he told me in training camp when I asked him about that, and I asked Bones as well. I said, when you're talking about a guy like Damone Clark, what's he like? In the meeting rooms, is he? Because we started talking about the mental capacity of the injury. And he said, how much is he champing at the bit to get on the field, not just for defense but for special teams? He said, he was in he started a special teams meeting at like 7 a.m. and there was Damone waiting for him and told him, hey, I want all of this. I want all the special teams work.
Love it, man.
Damone is ready. Awesome. He just obviously, like Isaiah said, when you're coming off of a injury, and it's kind of we have to quantify or qualify it the right way because this was an injury that technically he wasn't aware of until it was located and discovered at the combine.
Yep.
So he had an all-American, like an all-conference season playing through this. It got discovered at the combine, and guess who it got discovered by?
Yep.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Reminding people, Kyle, before you go on to the next thing, where was he supposed to be drafted?
He was probably a third or early fourth round guy. Okay. I mean, that's kind of where he was. Probably smack dab in the middle of the third is where I would have had him. I had him as a top 60 player overall prior to the injury. And I try not to change my rankings around because whenever I go back and look at it, I want to see what I thought of the guy on the field. Whenever we're talking about it on the draft show and things like that, I will rank a guy below a guy if an injury is indeed involved. For sure. But I in terms of what I've got, and I go back and look, he's number 60 on my list. So that's like a late second round, early third in my mind, but I think he probably would have fallen more third, fourth round right in there.
Listen,
good player.
Ladies and gentlemen,
good player.
And good is saying the least. I'm going to give you his stat line for 2021. And keep in mind, he did this with the issue in his neck. Okay?
And with a bad LSU defense around him.
Right.
They were not very good last year.
Not only was he first team all SEC, but this guy had, 135 combined tackles, 5.5 sacks, and an interception. And he just went ahead and threw in 3 pass deflections and a fumble recovery and 2 forced fumbles in the process. Just throw in sprinkles. 135 to go along with 5.5 sacks and an interception and 3 pass deflections.
I know we got to go to break, but people haven't necessarily seen him in person.
He's a specimen.
This is a physical specimen.
He's a specimen.
Like he's one of those people that you walk by and you get nervous because he's like, I know he can't hit me right now, but if he were to hit me, I'll probably be on IR even if I don't play. He's
I'd be Jordan Poole. I'd be slept.
Ooh. All right. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we're taking your calls. 888-855-2297. It is a Talkin' Tuesday here on Talkin' Cowboys. Get ready, bring the heat, because we've got you next on the phone lines right after this.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America NA, Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Celebrate spooky season this Saturday, October 29th at the Halloween Spooktacular at the Star, presented by Monument Realty. Come dressed in your best Halloween costume while you and your family trunk or treat. Then head to the Star District for live music, spooky games, crafts, treats, and a whole lot more. The event takes place from 3 to 7 p.m. For more info, you can go visit thestardistrict.com. Back here on Talkin' Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. Gentlemen, I know we are the first show in the morning. Mm-hmm. Every day we come in here.
And the best.
And I'm
DJ Khaled.
I like it. We're gonna come in here and we're gonna bring the heat, but we can't do that without our coffee, right?
Good
Got to get the coffee in there. Black Rifle Coffee does a great job. You can go online at blackriflecoffee.com, and they've got a couple of we've got a couple blends here. This is the light roast on the left. This is the Flying Elk, or excuse me, it's on the right to the screen. Really, really good. I actually had that this morning. That's
you
what
had the light one this morning.
I had the light roast this morning.
Wow.
I'm more of a medium roast guy, but this light roast is really good.
Okay.
And then the medium roast is on the left side for those of you watching at home. And that is the Medal of Honor blend, and a portion of the proceeds for that bag, if you buy that bag, goes to the National Medal of Honor Foundation. So really cool job. Black Rifle Coffee, check them out. They've got a ton of different stuff.
Yeah, they got a lot of different ones.
They've got Chris Beams in the back. It's the CAF, C-A-F, and it's double caffeinated.
The turn up.
Oh, yeah. So if you
That's
really
what I need
need
during
That's
the
for all the veteran coffee drinkers out there.
Yeah, you can't be a rookie.
No, you can't be a rookie for that one. You'll be doing cartwheels, butt naked down the Star Street, whatever they call it out
I'm
here.
sure that's what Black Rifle Coffee envisions whenever they sell their
I need
coffee.
the visual out of here. Go.
Men in Black. If somebody does a cartwheel butt naked with Black Rifle Coffee cup in their hands, I will repost
Without
it.
spilling a drop.
Without spilling a drop, I will repost it.
Deal.
Without
All right.
spilling a drop.
Let's talk to Cowboys Nation, shall we? How about that? Give us a call, 888-855-2297. We'll be taking your calls for the rest of the show. Want to hear what's on your mind. We're going to start with Chris in Indianapolis. Chris, you're on Talking Cowboys. How's it going?
Talking Cowboys, what is happening?
What's up, Chris?
Is that Beam in the back?
No.
No, this is Chris from Indianapolis.
Oh, wow. The way you said that sounded like Beam
did
for a
sound like
split
Beam.
second, right? I wasn't alone in that
Yeah,
regard.
It did sound like
I like it. The energy was fantastic. How's it going?
It's going great, man. Victory Tuesday, Still celebrating the victory. Getting ready for the Bears. They looked good last night. Unbelievable how they put it on New England.
Yeah, they played well. What else is on your mind? What's your question for the panel?
I just want to say I can't wait to see Damone Clark in there. That dude is a monster. He was a monster at LSU. And one quick thing, my 11-year-old son, he'll be listening to it here after school. I want to say happy birthday to him. He'll be 12.
Happy birthday.
We're going to Jacksonville the end of the year, Cash Man. His name's Cash, and he has no idea. He's never been to a Cowboys game. And we're going to Jacksonville the year to see him play.
So
he's gonna know when he listens to this.
Yes. So you're surprising him right now on the show, right? Like he doesn't know that he's
now,
going.
When he gets home from school, he'll be listening. We listen to all the shows over again, every show, every night from school. He'll be hearing it right now when he listens to it after school.
Wow.
Awesome.
That is
Congratulations
awesome.
and happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, Cash. Thank you, Chris, for the call. That is outstanding. You guys have fun down in Jacksonville in Florida.
Thanks.
There he goes, Chris from Indianapolis. I love that. Come on now. If you want to make an announcement on this show, come on. Make it happen.
The dedication for him to listen, not even just do his homework when he gets back to the crib, but also listen to Talking Cowboys.
Shouts out to Cash and Chris in Indianapolis.
That's the true Cowboys fan.
I like it, man.
He's
That's
raising
what it
his
feels
son
like.
the right way.
And there's a lot of Cowboys fans out there like that, too. Out there like that. All right, Brando in Rio Rancho. You're on Talking Cowboys. How's it going, Brando?
Gentlemen, thank you for having me on the show. It's been a long time since I've been on, but I'm grateful for having me. And this goes out to Mr. Patrick with OC. I've been following you for a long time. I'm no longer on Twitter because they just got crazy over there, but I'm glad to see you smiling on the show, and you got so much to bring to the show. I'm glad to see you, pal.
Thank you, man. Much love.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that, too. So let's get down to business quickly. First of all, I think that the offense, they need work. Then part of that work is getting rid of Rocky Dennis, a.k.a. Kellen Moore. He has got to go. Why is he still pulling away from the power running game and still make a surgically repaired Dak throw so much during that game? They cannot do that anymore. I know that the running backs, they've been taking some good licks, but that's what they're for. They're supposed to be those thoroughbreds. They're supposed to be getting those tough runs because when our offensive line gets into motion and starts taking the fight to that D-line, especially with Chicago coming up, it's when Dak does throw, it's not going to be so much strenuous on him. I still believe that Kellen Moore has worn his welcome out and let Mike McCarthy either coach himself to an extension or fire him. And then when it comes to J. Lou, all the healing energy in the universe to him because I think Anthony Brown is just one bad game away from being sat for Bland. I think that they should spoon-feed him the same way that Sam Williams has been spoon-fed his reps. learning the speed of the game, learning where to be, and then allow him to use his talent to make plays on the field. Because if he does, I think that he's going to bloom and he's going to end up taking Anthony Brown's job. All of you guys have a great week, and I'm still listening to your responses.
Thanks,
all right.
Brando.
Appreciate you, Brando. Dude, he said it with his chest, though. I love it.
Sternum, rib cage.
He did push-ups this morning.
He did all the push-ups.
So I'll
close grip. You want to start?
Yeah, I'll answer it in reverse. I will say that I believe DeRon Bland, although he's shown in training camp that he can play all three positions, I think he would excel as nickel. I don't think that pits him against Anthony Brown at all. I think Anthony Brown will be pitted against the Kelvin Joseph and the Deshaun Wright battle as far as those outside guys, unless there's a situation where certain personnel groups get varied and you see Anthony Brown go inside at nickel. That's when he'd be up against Bland. But from the outset, it'd be Joseph versus Brown versus Deshaun Wright. So that's my take on that. Now, as far as Kellen Moore is concerned, I've said this before. I'll probably end up saying it again. He admitted it himself. He's a former quarterback, and if it were up to him, he'd just air it out 50 times a game. This is where the balance of Mike McCarthy comes in. Mike McCarthy did state that he wants, between Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, he wants 30 touches. And Mike McCarthy has gotten his way in that capacity more often than not this season, which is why the Cowboys do have 5 wins as opposed to 5 losses or more. That said, you did see Kellen Moore, we spoke about it yesterday, you saw Kellen Moore get a little excited with having Dak Prescott back, right? Kind of got a little throw happy initially, but as I say, it's pointed out so eloquently yesterday, Mike McCarthy got in there and was like, yeah, let's scale this back. Let's remember what we need to be doing to win this game.
Yeah.
Defensive-driven team that focuses on the run attack, rushing attack, and then you use play action off of that. Cowboys got back to it. I wouldn't throw Pizza Boy out with the empty box just yet. I will say that there is still growth to be had there, but I've also seen enough from him to see that he's willing to do the right thing. We just need to see it more consistently. Like we talked about the 3rd and 1s, the 2 3rd and 1s from Sunday. Would have liked to see a bit better play calling there. So I still have confidence in him, especially with McCarthy's hand being heavier on demanding the rushing attack being the crux of the offense. Mm-hmm. And then as Dak Prescott starts to get the rust off and gets his prime form, then, I'd be more comfortable with a little bit more throws. But all in all, Dak only had 25 attempts on Sunday, and they won the game. So.
All I can think about is Kellen Moore in a Pizza Planet hat from Toy
bicycle.
Story and he just lost that box.
Put a heating box on the back of the bike.
But I understand the concern. It's
the frustration is there.
We've spoken about this several times on this show. We've tweeted about it in game as recently as Sunday. So
do you think he overthrew Dak Prescott though? 25 pass attempts isn't a lot.
No. Initially, because you can't look at the end result.
The end result.
Right. The end result was 25. We wanted to see 25 to 30, and we thought that was a winning recipe, and it was. But if Mike McCarthy did not chime in and force Kellen to scale back, we might have seen 35 or more attempts from Dak.
Because early on, that's what they were doing.
Right.
Do you think there's an element to that of just getting a guy back into a groove, though, and just allowing him to knock off that rust? Because there were only 6 incompletions. It's not like he threw 4 picks and it was just terrible and things of the sort. They may have thrown the football to get him comfortable early, to kind of get him rolling. I'm not saying that's the most effective game plan, but that could be a reasoning behind it.
It's always a possibility, Kyle. I just think that the Dallas Cowboys are in a blessed position to have a veteran play caller, that in Mike McCarthy, to be able to reel him in. To be able to reel him in.
I'm less anxious about it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. Do you want to add anything else on top of what Brando was bringing?
At all.
Man, that was hot.
Hot
fire. Let's go to Akeem in Philly. You're on Talking Cowboys. Akeem, how's it going?
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Akeem.
What's on your mind?
I only have one question pretty much. Basically, your offense has come out flat a lot. And this is not even just this season. It's been last season as well. I remember Isaiah Sandberg talking about it last season. But there has been a lot of flat play coming out at the beginning of the game. And then it equates to us losing. It definitely happened when we played against the Niners last year. And I'm like, what is it? What is the cause of this? Because obviously we had a whole offseason and the problem still persists. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is it the quarterback play? Is it the play calling? Is the receiver not getting open? Is it the offensive line? I'm like, because obviously the problem is still there. I'm like, it hasn't changed the whole offseason. I'm like, last game. That was supposed to be a get-right game, but we came out slow against the Lions defense that's supposed to be trash truck juice. But we still came out flat, and we still gave them opportunities to stay in the game. I'm like, it shouldn't be 3-6 for almost 2 quarters. Like, that's ridiculous when his defense is trash. But, like, that doesn't speak too well to our offense. So I'm like, how do we remedy this? Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate the call, Akeem. Keep doing great work out there in Philly. Isaiah, I'll let you start on this one.
I don't disagree with you, and obviously you pull my receipts. I just think that this team is a run-first team, and the more impact that that Mike McCarthy has on this offense, the more you'll see Kellen Moore kind of gravitate towards that. I think he's still a young coordinator, and I think he's a really talented coordinator, but to his own point, he has tendencies, and he has a tendency to go to the air. And I think that he's finding out, with the help and guidance of Mike McCarthy, that what we do here and the way in which you control games is running the ball. And that's the most effective way to control a game. When teams want to control a game, you don't throw the ball.
Yeah.
You run the ball. Even though you might have the capabilities of throwing the ball, when you want to control a game, you run the ball, right? What did Philly do last week? They ran the ball. What did Dallas do? The week before, and then what did Dallas do this past week? Ran the ball. So that works, and I think that's the foundation of Dallas. And I think that's why Dak is so successful when Dallas is committed to running the ball, because now everything comes off of that. And you hear that in so many different offenses, and that is because it stands true for most teams.
So is there a disconnect between Cowboys fans and good offense and effective offense? Because a lot of people will look at it and say, oh my gosh, this offense is not playing well. And I would agree with that in week 1 and probably again in week 6 and mostly to start here in week 8 or in week 7, excuse me. But for the most part, it's been steady. 20 points, 23, 25, 22, 24. It's been what it is, but they're winning games. So is there a difference between a bad offense and an effective offense that's just not as powerful?
I think it's
because you're not going to put up the 35, 40 points that you saw last year.
Listen up. So first of all, you can only control what shows up on your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just lay that out there, right? As long as you're knocking down the teams that are on your schedule, you're doing your job. However, we all understand that the teams that you're going to play, Dallas has, I think, one of the easiest strengths of schedules
in the league. But a lot of that has been because of the division.
Absolutely.
And the division is the best in football right now.
SOS. So regardless, you're going to handle what's on your schedule. They're winning ball games, but we all understand that this offense, what the level at which they're competing at, is not going to be enough against the teams that you envision playing down the road. Okay, if you're talking about playoffs and all that stuff down the road, we're a long ways away from that. But that's what the expectation is. I'm not even looking at last year's, hey, there needs to be 40 points scored every game.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and saying, how many drives are you walking away without points? How long is it taking you to get going? If you know that you're not scoring points in the first half of games, but you also know that history shows if you get behind in games, you usually don't have a good opportunity of winning that, you might want to figure it out pretty quickly, because as you start facing better teams, what are they going to do? Pound the dog on the ground, get ahead, and put you in a position where you're now throwing 45 times a game, and that's not your thing.
So are slow starts the biggest worry as opposed to bad? Because I would agree with that. So I think a slow start is more worrisome than a bad offense to this point.
I agree. I'd say slow start would be the problem. And a couple things here. Number one, you touched on it, and I'm glad you did. Everyone needs to also temper their expectations as far as what this offense can be even in prime form this season versus what the offense has been when Dak Prescott was throwing for almost 5,000 yards and fell just a couple yards shy of Tony Romo's single season.
What's the difference, though?
The personnel, first of all. We talked about the loss of Amari Cooper. Again, we know
but they weren't using Coop.
But even if he's on the field, he's a decoy, and that frees up. So personnel is one thing, and you also lost You lost Cedric Wilson, which had a bigger impact than I think many believed. So you lose Cedric Wilson, you lose Amari Cooper, and then you lose Dak Prescott in week 1. You are without him for 5 weeks. So a couple things. Number one, temper the expectations, because even if Dak didn't get injured, I don't know that this defense is a 40-burger every other week, because of the loss in personnel and things needed to be figured out. I think in prime form, this offense can be 30 to 35 average. Let's split the differences. Let's say it could be a 33 point per game average but not yet. I think by the end of the season, they will have found that particular stride because you'll now have more games with Dak Prescott under center, having figured out things with Noah Brown and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, that new trio.
Yeah.
And then some of the younger guys, maybe Jalen Tolbert starts contributing. But I will also say this. I wonder what the science is on the Cowboys having slow starts against bad teams who are accustomed to playing in the noon slot, because the Cowboys are not accustomed to playing in the noon slot. The Lions very much are. So the Lions came out ready to play. It's just another weekend, another game, another Sunday for them. Noon, okay, let's go. The Cowboys, midday, prime time, you asked them to pull forward. And I liken this. It's not entirely dissimilar, and this is not a shameless plug for my Braves, but it's not entirely dissimilar from, no, seriously, the Braves, they were fantastic. They won over 70 of their games this season in the primetime slot, but they had a losing record in the 1 o'clock slot. Sometimes teams that are accustomed to late afternoon and night games, when it's time for them to kind of get up and get going for those noon, and for a noon game, you got to be up early and get going. It's a different process. So I just wonder, but I will say this, and this kind of circles back, and I'll toss it back to you guys. Circling back to the Kellen Moore point, but also tying into this, and shouts out to my good friend John Owning. Y'all can follow him at John Owning on Twitter. Dak Prescott on Sunday, he went 11 for 13 for 121 yards and a touchdown on play actions against the Detroit Lions. That means he used play action on 50% of his dropbacks. Typically leading into the season, he used play action on only 25%. So this is why I say I'm not ready to cast Kellen Moore to the side just yet, because be it Kellen Moore learning or Kellen Moore learning with the combination of Mike McCarthy being a little bit more heavy-handed, there's progress being made here. We just have to see how it plays out, but it's trending in the right direction.
So we have to take our second break because we went way over. But when we come back, we're going to take one more call. Mike in Iowa will get to you in a second when we come back after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Lil Sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Lil Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Limited tickets for the remaining home games of the 2022 Dallas Cowboys season at AT&T Stadium are available now. Visit dallascowboys.com/tickets or SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. Welcome back into Talkin' Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. Real quickly, let's get to Mike in Iowa. Mike, you're on Talkin' Cowboys. How's it going, our friend?
Oh, pretty good. How you guys all doing?
Doing great.
Right,
Bringing
Mike.
the energy. I like it. What's on your mind?
Well, I got 2 questions. My question is, why isn't Peterson is not in for the left guard because he can have a lot of experience. He's got good experience, and he can blow him right off the wall. And my second question, why is it the wide receiver Turpin not in there as a slot wide receiver? Because he looked like he's an ankle breaker. Why isn't he in there instead of them putting him on trick plays? Why can't we see what he can do in the slot like Beasley and all that? He's got good breakaway speed. Why ain't they putting him in there? That guy is dangerous, and they should have him on offense.
Thank you very much, Mike. Two great questions. The first one, I mean, it's kind of what you've been saying. You want to see Peters, but in my opinion, McGovern hasn't played poor enough to get replaced yet. That's basically if you go back and you watch the tape, McGovern's not the problem.
Nope.
If anything, it's the center at times with Tyler Biadasz, and a lot of times it's left tackle still trying to figure some things out.
I agree.
That's basically that's the problem. I think the offensive line as a whole has played pretty well the last couple weeks. Even against Philly, they had some troubles, but they played decently well.
We even saw a heavy set this past week where they had McGovern and Peters in there.
McGovern was at left guard, and Peters was out at tight end a couple times. Mm-hmm. Here's kind of going off of that, though, his point on Turpin. I agree with him to a certain extent. He's not a full-time slot guy just because you want him to be a weapon on special teams. You want him to kind of be there. But they can't just put him in there for those plays because it's a big old red flag.
It's a tip.
Hey, number 9's on the field. Maybe we should throw it. He was in there for one snap outside of the ones where he actually got the football. He had one play where he was out as a wide receiver, and he was just a decoy running down the field. One play. You got to do that a little bit more consistently.
Maybe it's a setup.
Consistently if you get there.
Maybe it's a setup.
You think so?
We talked about it last week. I think
trying
it was
to
last
break
week,
some
maybe the week before. If you put Turpin out there, you have to take Noah Brown off the field unless you're going 4 wides. So, I mean, pick your poison.
And also keep in mind, there's a lot of football to be played, but when you're winning games, I mean, the Cowboys are 5-2. So when you're winning games, you don't have to reveal as much of the playbook as necessary. That means you have these plays in your pocket for later in the season, potentially the playoffs. So
he's not going to run out of his bag.
Yeah, no. Listen, we're all for, and
we're going to hit the end of the bag.
Still something in the bag around Christmas time.
What?
We've all kind of pounded the table over the past several weeks to see Kevontae Turpin
a little bit more
on offense. But I will say, in that same breath, like you said, and like Isaiah said last week, you don't want him to become a tell. So when you see him on the field, it's not only is it a pass play, but it's going to him. He's the first read. You also have to protect him for special teams, so there is some risk management there as well. So I don't want him as a full-time slot because he's your electric returner.
He had a big impact on this last game. Don't think that he didn't.
And again, circling back to my first point, don't be surprised if all of this we want to see Turpin, if all of it comes to fruition later in the season, particularly in the playoffs.
I want to see Peters at the slot.
If you're winning games, you don't have to go in.
Big old 71 out there.
Yeah, you don't have to go deep into your playbook if you're winning games. You can save something for later in the season. But for Jason Peters, Connor McGovern hasn't lost the job. And then Peters was injured. He's coming back from injury. And he was changing positions. Do we know if the change in position helped fuel the injury? We don't know. Whatever the case may be. So they lost Matt Willetsko. He's on IR now. Peters, to me, is more of the swing tackle option now. Matt Farniok, he's dealing with a hamstring injury. Might see Alec Lindstrom getting a call up here this weekend. But you have some OL depth issues, and I think Peters helps with that now more than it has been the case before now.
We got some responses on Twitter. If you want to continue with this conversation from the very beginning of the show, tweet us whenever you want. Tweet us if you're listening to this later. Tweet us whenever. Tweet. What position would each of us be playing currently if we were thrown onto the roster? Keem says punter for me, tight end, wide receiver for Isaiah, and free safety for Patrick.
Nice.
G from Jersey, our guy who was up here yesterday. I got to meet him for the first time. Shout out to G. Kyle, long snapper. Oh. So there we go. I'm in on the long snapper idea. That means I gotta eat. I get to eat as much as I want. Yeah, it's great. Pat, Scatback.
Scatback.
Little Scatback Pat. And then Isaiah, wide receiver, and this is my favorite, special teams gunner.
Doggone right.
Get up the field.
I've only been a gunner one time. And I got
obliterated.
I got 2 penalties on the same play.
Oh my God!
Coach Coughlin cursed me out.
Bring your opinions though. What position will we end up playing? I like those as we close out the show. For Chris B, for Isaiah Stanback, Patrick No-C Walker, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.